Hi there, it's Chelsea here. Welcome to another painting tutorial. So I saw this cute little frog the other day and I took a picture of him and thought he'd be really fun to paint. So let's start with a size 7 filbert, and we want to do a wash that's just like a yellow, lemon yellow, and you want it to be fairly wet, so add quite a bit of water to it. And then just put this over the frog as a base color as your main wash. Just using a lot of water because we don't want to cover up our sketch completely. We want that to show through, so just make sure your wash is as translucent as you can make it. And I took this picture with my phone and then I uploaded it onto Pinterest. So you can find it there if you want to paint along with the reference photo. And you can also screenshot the sketch before you start painting and just trace the sketch that I've done. Okay, and that's pretty wet, so you might want to let it dry a little bit before you paint on top of it. Okay, but I'm going to move on to the next color just for the sake of the video. So the color that I'm going to use next, we're going to do a burnt sienna. We'll stay with this, actually let's switch to a size 2 filbert, just a smaller one, and we're going to use some burnt sienna, and you want this one fairly diluted as well with some water just so it blends easily across the canvas. And we're going to put in some dark values here, and you're kind of getting a wet on wet watercolor effect, which is all right. So I'm just kind of putting this color in some of the shadows, some of the darkest values of the frog where I see it in the reference photo. And if you need help seeing these values, what you could always do is take your picture on your phone and turn it into a monochromatic view, and then you can just see your darkest darks and your lightest lights. Just placing this in where I see those dark values in the picture. And it's really fun when you can take your own picture and paint from it. Which just makes it a little different experience, but it's a lot of fun, so I recommend you give that a try. Okay, and you can see that burnt sienna is kind of diffusing into the yellow because we were working wet on wet. Let's switch back to the size 7 filbert, and then I want to use this other color that I have. This is a tube color, and it's just a minty green, kind of a seafoam green, and I'll just put it there. And again, trying to get kind of a diluted wash of this paint. It's very, very opaque, so it's likely to cover up quite a bit of what it goes on top of. So this is kind of a mid-tone, and I'm just going to put this in on top of the other colors that we have. I don't really want to go on top of that burnt sienna as much. This is just our kind of local base color, and I'm just going to put that in. Maybe avoid some of the lighter parts, the parts that I kind of want to keep as highlights, and kind of think I can look too at my monochrome photo and see where those darker values are. Okay, I'm just putting it in. The mouth is pretty yellow, so I might just leave that yellow. And in the back, there's quite a bit of highlight there. And then this top part, it's pretty dark compared to the other areas, so I might just kind of cover more of that up and try to get a crisp line. Right here it's lighter, and just kind of adding this green in. Okay, so that looks good. I'll kind of let that dry a little bit, and let's paint in the eye. So I'm just gonna go maybe with this Vandyke Brown and just paint in that eye. And I made it kind of larger than it is in the photo just so that I can work in a few layers. So I'm gonna start with a dark brown, and then I might put a little bit of dark brown over here as well. I think that's where the other eye is kind of peeking through, but I don't want that to have much detail, so I can leave it fairly blurry. Let's grab that same Vandyke Brown and see if we can carefully put in the nostrils. This is a very defining character of this cute little guy. And there's a line right here. And then I see a dark brown right here that's kind of helping to shape the face of the frog or the toad. Okay, so I might kind of blend that a little bit, and then over here I see a dark value that gives a lot of definition. Okay, then I might just kind of put in, might just dab in kind of some texture, and while it's still wet, it's a good time to do that because you're kind of working wet on wet. Okay, so the next thing you can do is let's take a fan brush. I don't use these often. This is a size 2. And let's see if we can get some more texture of the frog. And let's just kind of get, it's a little tricky with the size here to get the ends covered in paint, but just do your best. And then see if you can make just a little bit of texture for that frog, because he has a lot of this kind of bumpy textured spots. And do it lightly, you don't want to overdo this. Just carefully put it in. Might be good if we had one that was a little smaller than this, but we're just going to do our best. And so try to move your brush in the direction of form and in the direction that these kind of shapes are in the reference photo. Maybe come up here a little bit more. And just maybe put some over here. Okay, so I think that looks good. We don't want to overdo it. And that's just a very fast way to give like a lot of texture at once. And also it can look a little more random than if you were to put in each spot with a single brush. Okay, so now let's put in the black of the eye. So you can use a size 0 spotter. We want to go with the blackest black. And carefully, let's put in another circle. And it's just going to be the shape of the eye, and it's smaller than the brown. Okay, and then we'll just let that dry. All right, and then let's keep this spotter and then take a little bit of Burt Sienna, and I want to put the lip of the frog. So see if you can carefully go over his lip line. Just paint that in like that. And then the very bottom, I'll probably leave it yellow. Let's try to put in a highlight there. So if we take some white and we go underneath it, see if we can just pop that in as a little highlight. And I see another light highlight right here. So I'm just gonna put that in. It's kind of watery, but that's all right. Then I might put in a little bit of white highlight here, maybe on his toe. Just looking for spots that are the lightest of the lights and just put those in. Okay, and then he has like a white stripe down his back. So let's try to put that in. Just carefully make that white stripe. And it kind of stops at the top of his head right here. Then he has a highlight. Let's take a little bit of white with a little bit of lemon yellow, just to warm up that white, and then put that, it's kind of in between his nostrils. And just put that highlight right there. Okay, and then let's put in the eye highlight now. And we'll just take some white, maybe mix it with a little bit of lemon yellow. And he's got like 4 little dots. So we'll put one right here. Oops, sometimes it doesn't show up. And it might be because that black has not dried enough. Try to put one in right here. No, it's not gonna let me do it. So we might have to just be patient with that and let it dry. Okay, but let's take a yellow, white, and put a little bit of emphasis along this eye. He has, it's kind of like his eyelid. Okay. All right, so while that's drying, let's move on to another part. One thing I want to try to do is, so we can take the size 2 filbert, and then let's see if we could make some of these kind of bumpy shapes, or like warts. So you could try to put just like some circular shapes, just kind of moving around, circular motion. And then I'm just trying to put in, they're kind of like, yeah, warts or bumps. So you have a base color, and then you might take a darker color, maybe this Burnt Sienna, and then put it underneath these circles. And that's going to give you, just kind of give them some form and some definition, make them stand out. And if it blends in some of those spots that we put in with the fan brush, that's totally fine. Okay, and then with a highlight, so we could take some white and a little bit of lemon yellow, mix that up real good, and then see if we could put that, that's too watery. So see if you can just, with the white, and yeah, you probably want to let those dry. So it's giving me a little bit of some trouble. But you can see the idea. We're just trying to put in the lightest value white on top of those spots to really make them pop. Okay, and I think I want to put maybe a little bit more white in this spot. And just kind of look around, see where you need to increase any of your highlights. And also step back as well to see what you might need to adjust. Okay, so let's just try again with these little dots that are really going to make the eye come alive. So we want one right here. Okay, we want a little dot right here. And then I want to change to a little bit more of a lemony yellow for that next highlight. So there's like 2 more dots, but they're more on the eyelid. So you can put one here, and then there's one right here. Okay, so that's good. All right, so you might want to kind of incorporate the eye a little bit more. So let's take a little bit of burnt sienna and maybe put in more of this line here just to give him, just to kind of define that eyelid a little bit more. Okay, I think that's good. And then this one might be a little bit more, this spot right here might be a little bit more of a highlight. So go ahead, oops. So go ahead and put that in, and again, it's a little bit wet, so it's not letting me. So yeah, you can really see how if you don't let things dry enough, you're gonna run into problems. Okay, but I think that's done. We'll call that finished. So give this a try. Like I said, get the reference photo on Pinterest. That way you can sketch it and give it a try. It's really fun. He's really cute. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and we'll see you in the next video. Like, subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching. Bye.